Robert De Niro completely destroyed Donald Trump and Karoline Leavitt. It's gonna get insane. Let's unpack this.
It's great being here in Toronto. It's an exciting project, and our partners are really, really terrific people, and hopefully we'll do other things together too. And I just want to make a note of apology for the idiotic behavior of my president. That's a disgrace.
Robert De Niro just crashed the political circus like a one-man wrecking crew. And guess who's caught in the path of destruction? Karoline Leavitt and her oversized orange mascot, Donald Trump. Picture it. De Niro walks into a press event with the calm of a veteran actor, and then drops a nuke on Team MAGA like he's auditioning for Roastmaster General. This isn't just a comment, it's a full-blown, scorched earth monologue. If you thought De Niro went hard in Casino, wait till you see him verbally shred 2 reality TV rejects trying to cosplay as serious politicians. Get your snacks. De Niro's not acting, he's exterminating. Let's unpack this.
In President Trump, he knows what he's doing. This is a proven economic formula.
I hate bullies, thugs who use their strength to push other people around. They think they can achieve power and hang on to it by intimidating others. Sadly, sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't. And now we have Trump.
De Niro doesn't play it safe, he doesn't tiptoe, and he sure as hell doesn't care if it makes Fox News cry. This man's been allergic to political BS longer than Leavitt's been alive. While Karoline's out here shouting Trump slogans like a malfunctioning TikTok bot, De Niro drops truth bombs with that signature mix of disgust and exhaustion, like your fed-up uncle at Thanksgiving dinner who finally snaps after one too many stolen election rants. He's not trying to go viral, he's just done pretending Trump is in a walking, talking disaster movie in a suit. Keep watching, cause De Niro will drop hard facts later in the video. But for now, look at this mess.
The Abraham Accord, Mr. Whitcomb, the president said he won't speak.
Yeah, thank you. Can you direct traffic? Yeah, thanks.
Let's act like adults here. They are generously offering their time to answer your questions. You don't need to scream at them like a bunch of school children. Ouija, go ahead.
And yet, instead of fading into irrelevance, Trump's youngest megaphone, Miss Leavitt, is out here defending the indefensible with all the passion of a kid who just discovered Reagan on Wikipedia. She wants to sound mature, but ends up sounding like a substitute teacher trying to control a riot. And De Niro, he's not buying it. Not for a second. Because if Trump is the con man in chief, Karoline is just his backup hype woman, reading from the same broken script. Buckle up. The next clip gets even more unhinged.
Karen.
Do you know if Mr. Musk took the same oath that you and other senior advisors to the president took about adhering to the Constitution, following the law? Do you know if he took that oath?
I don't know the answer to that question, but like I told Caitlin, I can get back to you guys on that.
So let's get this straight. When asked if Trump ever took the oath to uphold the Constitution, Leavitt's big answer is, I'll circle back on that. Girl. That's like asking a firefighter if they remember turning on the water before running into a burning house, and you're just standing there shrugging with a dry hose, which is exactly why De Niro doesn't tiptoe around these people when he sees Trump world pretending to be patriots while stomping on democracy in discount dress shoes. He doesn't just throw shade, he torches the entire set. This wasn't just commentary, it was a cinematic obliteration. MAGA logic got incinerated, Leavitt's credibility turned to ash, and De Niro didn't even blink.
At the end, he says, "Wake up, Punchy," he says to you. And that's not the only time. And he moved over to Truth Social. Robert De Niro, whose acting talents have greatly diminished with his reputation now shot, must even use a teleprompter for his foul and disgusting language. So disrespectful to our country. Now, in all fairness to the former president, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on him?
He's so stupid.
My God, Trump tried to come for De Niro's acting skills, and De Niro replied with a mic drop nuclear strike. He didn't even try to play it classy. Jimmy teed him up with a softball, and Bobby D swung for the F-bomb fences. No notes. De Niro, ladies and gentlemen, possibly the only man alive who can take Trump's cartoonish insults, swat them away like gnats, and still look cooler than anyone in that courtroom drama he's not even in. If this was a mob movie, this would be the scene where Trump gets stuffed in the metaphorical trunk while Leavitt's trying to figure out what teleprompter even means. De Niro's not just done, he's in final act rage mode, and nothing's making it out of this mess clean. And if you think that was wild, De Niro is far from finished.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about, I said, what just happened, just happened. No, it didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it.
Robert De Niro didn't just step into the political arena, he stomped in like a fed-up legend watching America spiral into a parody of itself. This isn't a monologue, it's a diagnosis. And the patient, oh, it's terminal orange. De Niro's out here talking truth like he's trying to perform CPR on the Constitution. But instead of helping, MAGA's just screaming about gas stoves and wokeness. He sees the chaos, he sees the denial, and instead of pretending it's normal, he's calling it what it is, insane. Not just once, twice. That's Grandpa Slam the Table level worried. Now Karoline Leavitt, in case you're lucky enough to not know her, is what happens when you blend a failed press intern with a TikTok conspiracy rabbit hole and hand it a podium. She's been marketed as the youthful new voice of MAGA, which really just means she's young enough to Google deep state without reading comprehension fatigue. Think of her as Kayleigh McEnany light, same smugness, fewer flashcards. And that's exactly why De Niro zeroed in. Not because she's powerful, please, but because she's loud and confident in the way only someone with zero idea what they're talking about can be. And when that energy gets handed a microphone, well, enter Bobby D.
White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night.
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions.
She really said asking questions in the Oval Office is a privilege. Not a right, not a duty, a privilege. Like it's some kind of MAGA country club where the dress code is red hats and reality denial. Leavitt doesn't want press freedom, she wants press obedience. And that's what set De Niro off, because standing there, listening to her confidently gatekeep journalism like she's moderating a high school debate team was just too much. So what did De Niro do? He unleashed. He didn't debate her, he dismantled her with the kind of surgical sarcasm that left her whole argument melting like a Dollar Tree MAGA candle in July. She talks about truth the way an infomercial talks about miracle cures, with lots of enthusiasm and absolutely no substance. And De Niro saw right through it. This is a guy who's worked with Scorsese, Pacino, Pesci, and even they never made performances this forced. And just wait, because in the next part, Karoline misses even harder.
When it comes to tariffs, the President has been very tough on China, not just now with 20% and more with the reciprocal tariffs that will hit on April 2nd, but look at what he did in his first term. There were billions of dollars worth of tariffs that he implemented on China, and it's quite telling that the previous administration did not rescind those tariffs because they realized the value that they had in not only deterring China, but also raising revenue here in the United States.
And there she goes again, Karoline Leavitt channeling the full spirit of a MAGA PowerPoint presentation, complete with tariff talk and dollar signs no one asked for. You'd think she was auditioning to be Trump's economic advisor, or maybe just his YouTube ad girl. She wasn't sticking to the party line, she was performing it, spinning in circles like her job at Fox News depends on proving Trump's trade war wasn't just a public tantrum in spreadsheet form. And that's when De Niro, in full wrecking ball mode, turned his sights on the real puppet master, the Trump administration itself.
Did you know that the Trump administration has freed more than half of Americans from around the world, have brought more than half of the number that Joe Biden brought home in 4 years? Donald Trump has done it in 8.
De Niro didn't just critique the Trump years, he dropped a director's cut of carnage. Forget era, this wasn't a presidency, it was a fever dream with merch. Pandemic mishandled like expired milk. Border policy, screamed about on Twitter, then forgotten like yesterday's catchphrase. Disaster management, more like, let's see if bleach works. Trump didn't lead, he live-streamed the apocalypse while selling gold sneakers on the side. Leavitt, of course, tried to dress all this up like it was a highlight reel. real. She's out here spinning disaster into MAGA fairy tales, as if breaking international norms and hosting daily ethics violations was just a quirky leadership style. And De Niro, he shredded it like a subpoena in a Mar-a-Lago bathroom. He laid it all bare. The press briefings that looked like failed improv sets, the infrastructure plans that were always next week, and the uncanny ability to turn every PR nightmare into a coupon code for campaign merch. Karoline wasn't just defending a failed administration, she was cheerleading a franchise of failure, rebranded in patriotic font and held together with duct tape and delusion. And the truly tragic part, she believes it. Every half-baked stat, every incoherent brag, every flag-waving half-truth with the logic of a bumper sticker. De Niro didn't need to scream, he just pointed at the formula. Big ego plus buzzwords plus a teleprompter plus relentless deflection equals Trumpism in 2025. A motivational speaker with no plan, a movement with no message, and a hype team so committed to the lie they've forgotten there ever was a truth. You thought that was brutal. The next part turns the volume up.
We're Americans. What are we doing? We're supposed to be standing up for each other. We're supposed to be helping each other. What, you think you're doing the right thing? No, you're not. You're afraid. And you think if you get worked up over some bullshit conspiracy nonsense that won't make you afraid?
And here's what made it hit even harder. De Niro stayed calm. No shouting, no theatrics. Just cold, surgical disappointment. Like a veteran watching amateurs set the house on fire and call it patriotism. It felt like watching your grandfather calmly announce at Thanksgiving that everything's a disaster, but he's too tired to argue anymore. And somehow, that hurts more. The right naturally threw a tantrum, called him irrelevant, which is rich coming from people who still quote Kid Rock like he's a political theorist. The left celebrated like it was a national holiday, independence, sat back with popcorn thinking, finally, someone said it out loud. And just when you thought he was done, De Niro hit replay on the chaos. Nepotism, done. Taxpayer-funded golf marathons, done. Press briefings that made kindergarten look structured, done. Oh, and a violent insurrection involving zip ties, face paint, and Rudy Giuliani melting like a sad candle. You bet that made the list. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt's still out here clinging to truth like it's a MAGA-branded fidget spinner, spinning out nonsense on top of the ashes of a movement that couldn't find a fact with both hands and a flashlight. And De Niro, probably somewhere in Tribeca, sipping espresso, watching the circus from afar like, told you so.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is.
This wasn't just a warning, it was a gut check. De Niro laid it out plain. Trump isn't just wrong, he's operating on a whole new level of malevolent absurdity. The kind of guy who stares at an eclipse and calls it leadership. And this isn't about party versus party anymore. It's about reality versus rage bait, right versus wrong, period. De Niro didn't just criticize, he demolished the blueprint of MAGA mythology. He exposed the con, the fake authenticity, the outrage for hire, the Real America Act that folds the second someone walks in with a working brain cell and a fact checker. Karoline Leavitt isn't the voice of a new era. She's a knockoff remix of a song that wasn't good the first time. No beat, no bars, just loud. De Niro's takedown? A masterclass in restraint with maximum impact. He proved you don't have to scream when the facts can roar, that you don't need chaos when clarity does the job. And that truth, sometimes it shows up in a leather jacket with a tired face, and absolutely zero patience for MAGA cosplay. But don't think this was a finale. De Niro's been warning us for years about the rise of stupidity, the worship of ignorance, and the normalization of chaos wrapped in a red hat.
I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world. When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, We have a second chance.
This isn't satire anymore, it's a fire alarm. De Niro didn't just speak, he issued a warning. Loud? No, but deadly clear. Trump's not just some punchline who wandered into politics. He's the setup to a global disaster, and we're still pretending it's slapstick. And what does Gen MAGA do in response? They slap new branding on the same busted product and try to sell it to America again. But Darrow wasn't buying. Karoline Leavitt showed up thinking she was carrying the torch of Trumpism into the future. De Niro looked at that flame, snuffed it out, and handed her a flashlight with no batteries and no chance. And just in case you thought maybe this would trigger a moment of reflection in the GOP, think again. They're already in too deep, trapped in a cosplay convention where owning the libs is basically a party platform and critical thinking is banned at the door. But for the rest of us, De Niro gave us something rare, a reason to laugh and to hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this mess is finally approaching its last season. Because here's the thing, De Niro isn't new to this. He's been calling out this circus since it had gold-plated escalators and birther conspiracies on loop. He's not just pointing fingers, he's holding up a mirror. And if Karoline wants to survive a debate with this man, she's gonna need more than a slogan and a ring light. She's gonna need a dictionary, a fact checker, and a time machine. Preferably one that gives her 40 years of actual experience and at least one original thought. But the next speak of De Niro is just purely shocking.
You really worry that if he were to win again, and I'm not saying this like it's such a far-fetched notion, if he were to win again, that he would not give up power?
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is, shame on you.
You have compared the Trump family to a gangster family, which is something coming from you. What do you mean?
Well, because
While Karoline's still out here remixing the MAGA mixtape, De Niro's performing the autopsy. And no, Karoline, you can't yell your way out of this one. Not when the grown-ups are in the room. One side wants applause, the other wants answers. And when De Niro's the one asking questions, you'd better come armed with something better than a Facebook meme and a Fox News catchphrase. Because this wasn't just a takedown, this was a masterclass in political clarity, delivered by a man who's seen better scripts, better leaders, and way better lies. The real punchline? When the most reasonable voice in American politics is an 80-year-old film legend in a leather jacket. Maybe the problem isn't De Niro. Maybe it's everyone else who turned delusion into a lifestyle brand. This wasn't a hot take on a slow news day. This was a cultural intervention. While Leavitt's out here chanting slogans that could fit on a truck bumper, De Niro came with receipts, substance, and the kind of moral clarity DC hasn't seen since before truth became optional. So yeah, Karoline can keep tweeting, but De Niro, he just gave the performance of the year. And this time, the Academy is all of us.
Karoline, on the economy. So after mostly a down week last week in the economy, you've been very vocal as well as other cabinet members about how we're in a transition and about how this economic transition, and there's a plan, a long-term plan for tariffs on this. How concerned is the president that the markets and Americans, for lack of a better term, will freak out over these tariffs and be concerned about a long-term plan?
Sure. I think I've been asked this question and answered this question respectfully, Edward. We are in a period of transition. The president has made that clear. He also has made his belief in tariffs and what—
If you've ever wondered what it sounds like when someone tries to explain an economic disaster using half-remembered buzzwords and a broken GPS, there it is. Leavitt fumbled through that answer like she was defusing a bomb with oven mitts on. She called it a transition, but let's be honest, that's MAGA speak for we have no clue what we're doing, but we're going to say it confidently anyway. And that's exactly why De Niro had to step in. What he did, it wasn't brave, it was basic sanity. Someone had to say it. That pledging blind loyalty to a guy who once said windmills cause cancer isn't patriotism, it's cosplay, with flags and merch. And just because someone's young and loud doesn't mean they're wise. Sometimes it just means they have a ring light and a Wi-Fi signal. This wasn't Republican versus Democrat. This was truth versus theatrics. And De Niro, without ever asking for your vote or selling a mug with his face on it, exposed just how empty the MAGA megaphone really is. There's something devastating about an old school, no-fluff New Yorker calmly calling out the circus. It cuts through the noise, it makes sense, and it doesn't need a campaign manager, just a microphone. So maybe next time a celebrity steps up to speak out, instead of asking, why are they talking? Ask this, why aren't more people this honest? Because if an 80-year-old actor in a black jacket is delivering more clarity than a 4-hour congressional hearing, the problem isn't Hollywood. It's the flaming clown car parked outside the Capitol. Click this next video. No, seriously, you won't believe what Trump just did. It's chaos. It's MAGA. It's unbelievable.